Hi, all. Welcome to another chapter as I go back into the journal I had written. What a very spiritual phase I was in as I describe much activity between the time of 2017 and 2018, including a highly memorable vision, a vision that was my first happening during the day, many visions relating to the positions of the clock, and seeing visions of who I believe are people who live today. My song choice is Believe by Brooks Dunn. Close to the end of 2016, I had a wonderful memory from a trip to Cuba. This is how the next phase of my life started when I look back to this time. The focus now appeared to be on moi and relationships. On December 30th, 2016, shortly after falling asleep, I woke to see a vision of an ancient man. Seeing this vision scared me so much that I woke with a huge body jolt. The facial hair on this man was wavy and had growth that extended out from the hair on his head. The hair on his head was large and down around the shoulders. When looking at this person, his head looked like one mass of gray and white hair protruding all over, looking somewhat matted. The large hair was gray and white and came around his shoulders. He looked directly at me, and I stared right back with only one thought, and that was, "Who are you?" The first thought that came to my mind was that he looked like Zeus, comparing this to the pictures I've seen. This vision was very different because this male who I described appeared on the inside of my forehead, which has never happened before. It came across so incredibly strong, and when I opened my eyes, the same vision was there. This to me was one of those visions that should not be forgotten. It was powerful. If If this was Zeus, then I had a few more visions which also occurred relating to this time frame. How does this play into my life, and why am I being led in this direction? Why are these visions coming to me? From what I've been shown, there are so many open-ended questions. What is my purpose? The truth is, this happened, and I don't know why. Does anyone understand the true power of God, what God is capable of, and what God's purpose is? I'm only getting a tiny glimpse, so we should fear. On June 22nd, 2017, I wrote in my journal that I have not been focusing on writing, but today, for whatever reason, I know that I need to get back to writing in the journal. When I reflect back to 2016, I realize that writing the occurrences and thoughts were important to completing this next book. Yes, I need to continue my story and my journey. What I don't know is how it will be brought forward. Will it be rewritten, or will it be presented as a journal with my thoughts? My mind is in that very moment which shows the reader. When I look back, I was in a very spiritual phase. For the last 6 months, I have been in a more of an investigative mode. I'm reading the Bible to find answers. As I'm reading, I'm also being sidetracked by other thoughts, which are leading me to investigate other subjects. I'm still in the New Testament, reading faithfully as part of my morning routine. I've just finished Hebrews 11:14. The commentator explains, "The earth is not our home. We are just passing through. The Christian is homesick for heaven, our home. We are in the world, but we are not of this world." He also quotes 2 Corinthians 5 verses 1 to 7 and 1 Corinthians 15 verse 54. We are led to believe our home is a spiritual home that is not of this world. There have been much activity in my life and many visions pertaining to that activity for the last 6 months without it being written down. I've learned in this time that my visions, dreams, and the Spirit are directing me. When I see a vision, it is for me. It is providing my answers, but again, I have not mastered what the interpretation is telling me, although I'm keeping it all positive. When I'm gone through those approximate 10 plus ways that Jesus has came forward to me, reassures me that it is him. I know now to believe and trust in him. From this time forward, I told myself that I will write the visions or dreams or spirit visits and also my thoughts during this time, because I now know that the message is connected to what my frame of mind is at that time. The Spirit usually brings me good news to lift up my spirit or to give me answers. When my thoughts are down and I need a positive sign, that is usually when it comes. I may not be able to grasp the meaning at this time, but at least it will be documented for future, and with the hope that coming back to it, the message will be clearer. These are some of the visions that I wrote about in this time. I saw a bride in white with a veil on, but not covering her face. She was sitting and facing to the side, which I only saw her profile. The last vision was the face of a black man looking away from me. He appeared close in the vision, but the vision itself was not close. So I asked the reader, how would you interpret these visions? How would you interpret the message? It is not easy. It is frustrating, but at the same time, I now know that the message relates to me. There was a vision that I did get that I can bring forward. My work as a real estate representative has got to be my biggest challenge in my whole life. I really love this work, but as a career, it has not been as lucrative as I would like, and it's always a struggle as I never know where or when the next paycheck is coming from. Spiritually, it might very well be that it is to keep me in need, as the existence of money does reflect more freedom of choice and might keep me from dreams of wanting. This might very well be the reason it does not sustain me. It would be a different road for sure if I had no financial barriers. At the time, I was considering to change real estate companies to Royal LePage as it was located in my hometown. I had a vision at that time which appeared very close beside me. It was the type in spirit form, not a vision that was like looking at a cup on a desk. I opened my eyes to view a set of 4 mugs, 2 in purple and 2 in lime green. The colors were alternating. At first I googled the meaning of dreaming of a mug. It says, this dream marks how the dreamer can maintain his properties and realize his potential. To get a mug says you will earn an honor, a victory, or huge growth of property. The number 4 says hard work and achievement. Seeing 4s appearing in a dream suggests using hard work, will, personal effort to achieve long-term goals and aspirations. 4 appearing in a dream can tell of building strong foundations and working to achieve goals and dreams. It also brings success. Projects that you have been working on will be successful, and you will be pleased with the long-term results. Have faith and trust in your abilities. The number 2, which the 4 was split into 2 different colors of 2 purple and 2 green, it says faith, trust, and patience. That always pops up for me. Seeing twos in your dreams asks you to have faith and trust in the universe as your prayers are manifesting in your waking life. You may need to be patient, not but trust that all will turn out for your highest good. Also for new opportunities and ideas. Repeating twos tell of manifesting miracles and new opportunities. Stay strong in your personal truths to the manifest positive outcomes. This number can also indicate that new ideas and concepts are beginning to take shape and grow into reality. Maintain a positive attitude and outlook and continue your good work in order to manifest your desires. The time to reap your reward is just ahead of you. This all taken from numerology. Numbers in dreams at https type backslash e eximplore.com-dreams. For the colors, I take the purple as being royal, as company is Royal LePage. The green symbolizes money. The colors are even with two of each. This dream was an easy one to interpret, but at the same time it says have patience, which when you are starving, patience has a way of being at the back of the line. On the other hand, I have put my investment property up for sale and it closes June 1st. I was able to dump a huge amount of money on my debt, which I'm forever grateful for. It definitely has alleviated some pressure and stress of a different kind. On July 10th, I wrote about another waking dream. It was so weird, yet I could see what the spirits were referring to, as it was on a Sunday and I was following a couple who were exploring their options of purchasing a stone house not fully finished that had a barn and a detached garage with storage and a one-bedroom rental. It took us through the old stone house, the detached garage, through the overgrown land of wheat, and through the lower level of the barn, up the rafter ladders, and out the top doors. That was kind of interesting, actually. It was so like being in a dream where I would be exploring. I might add that I'd given up Sunday church this morning to accommodate this showing. I started this morning to see the meaning of the wheat. It represents love from God. I was literally walking through the wheat and I noticed how tall and strong it was, as well as the tips on it. The wheat field also represents the open church of God. Not only does the wheat have spiritual meaning, but the path taken, the stone house, which represents a church and seeing no walls inside. The barn, which was leaning on one side, taking the root of the barn at the top floor or third floor, being led out of the barn by strangers, but then she remembered, she reminded me, oh boy, the spelling in here, being led out of a barn by strangers, but then she remembered me. So then she remembered me. So it was a crossing of paths. So much symbolism in this waking life, but I don't try to understand all of it. Yet the Spirit is letting me know that I'm very spiritual in every way possible. This is all part of the truth that I'm trying to find and learn from. I have another story that recently happened through my work. A man called a couple of months ago, which I'm sure was prompted by a letter that I had sent him about changing my work companies. He had set up an appointment a month ago, and I had gone to this appointment to view his home. He wanted a price on his home. He told me that his wife had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's in 2011, and she was now at the point where she did not know where she lived, and he feared for her safety. He had to put her in a home that would look after her needs. His wife was now very busy trying to make his life was now very busy trying to maintain their home inside and out, looking after himself and making his priority visiting his wife in Ottawa. As he went as we went through the house and I was writing down the highlights of the home, I asked him as we started to come up from the basement what state his wife was in. He Did she remember him when he went when he went for visits? His answer was, "She calls me her father." I was taken back in feeling his empathy to this response. Someone even asked him why he keeps going if she does not remember. I learned a lot of this couple even though I never met his wife and only met this man once before. When I was in their home, I seen by the front door the cross on the wall. This is typical of the Catholic faith. I now know they both were dedicated Christians. She was an artist and he pointed out the painting his wife had done. He is so proud of her accomplishments. This painting I seen The paintings I seen are important illustrations of what she has seen through her eyes. They have meaning to her, and what we see is what she's seen. Our interpretation of what she's seen may not be the same, but it is her point in time. They all have meaning to her. She introduces her husband to others as her father. Although this may hurt her husband, there are other views to see. I would say that what she's seen in her husband was a father figure. This is probably why she married him. He was a protector and provider. She looked up to him in a very high regard. This would be a compliment, not a slap in the face. He was an important figure in her life. For her husband, his love for her is just as strong. He has looked after her needs and is putting his needs before her, and is putting her needs and is putting his needs behind her. It just didn't make sense what I was reading there. He is giving her the best care for being in her situation. He is selling their home to accommodate the financial costs. As we all know, there are financial costs. He tells me he is looking to rent and has put a budget on what he can afford. He would like a garage if at all possible. I talk about the cons when renting, that it's good to look for a rental where you can have a long-term possibilities, because when you rent there's a good chance of having to move again. After seeing his home, I have seen I had seen a room that was dedicated as his room. It contained his tools. He did not ask for this in the rental. His main focus was being in the budget. You now know what life will bring. We never know what life will bring. I'm sure this couple had a wonderful life together with much love and gifted with a family and beautiful home. Now comes the time of hardship where it is taken away, not only in his home, but his wife. I want people to know that through all the hardships we go through, love is the one that stands out. This couple stings my eyes with tears, for it is a love story without even knowing them personally. You have been blessed with a wife who through the world of you, even after she no longer recognizes you. You left a deep impression in her heart. You continue to love her no matter what the situation has brought. This is a true expression of the word love. God has blessed you both. So church bells again. Each year I seem to grow spiritually, and I am growing in my faith. The spirits and as I'm growing in my faith, the spirits are sending through messages pertaining to my thoughts and activities that are taking place. It was through these visions that I started to really understand that they were about my life at that time. At the end of the year 2017, I was receiving messages that I knew were special in that they were different and relating them to questions that I was asking. What I haven't added is, what was I thinking before I answered? Most times I'm asking, what is it that I'm to do? Am I on the right path? What are my gifts? These messages have been given in the past 2 months. These messages have been given in the past 2 months. Stepping back and looking at the whole pictures, I recall each vision and where it was located. I notice that they are positioned like the arms of a clock, and I have assigned them the numbers 2, 5, 6, 8, 10, and 12. Beginning of November 2017 include 12 o'clock. This was the first vision that appeared in what I perceived as a clock. Straight ahead of me in the position of 12 o'clock, I see a woman in full-length white robe that is looking down at a white apron she is wearing. The apron was loosely scalloped on the outer edges. It reminded me of the apron I had made in home economics while in public school, which was very simple and basic. This apron was patterned with many red heart symbols. I have learned that those that wear the long white robes bring the message directly from Jesus. I did not know this in the beginning, but I do now. I have many messages that come directly from Jesus. They are his messengers and they have a purpose, which I will get into later. This message, I believe, is my purpose and has significance because it is a direct message. The apron represents work or service, and the heart, we all know what that means. So I see this message in simple terms as my purpose says God is to serve with lots of heart and love. 2 o'clock. I see a large 1/2 of a wicker basket chair suspended high up at the ceiling. The chair looked very comfortable with thick padding all around the inside, and it had a padded seat across the middle where you would sit. Spiritual meaning is taken from the large wicker basket, positioned up high, inside comfortable with cushions. This is telling of my position. 5 o'clock. I woke to see very close to me as I looked down at it a star-shaped person image, which, like a starfish, standing up and said out loud, "This looks like a small shadow." I have known that the Spirit has a way to ensure that you are interpreting what you are seeing. In this case, I could have thought star, but it was presented as a shadow. We all have shadows as they are a part of us that are hidden and linger, but need to be dealt with. 6 o'clock. I am in the opposite position of the message about my purpose, or the white apron covered with hearts. The number 6 has the meaning about me, which I'm not going to get into. 8 o'clock. On December 23rd, I woke to see a vision of a cage, like that of an old-fashioned simple bird cage made out of stick. I see a vision of what looks like a dark room of an old stone house with a large bird cage hanging from a stand. The door of the cage is closed, but inside and illuminated are white presents neatly wrapped with ribbons and bows. They are stacked high, 3 or 4, with the largest on the bottom and the smallest on the top. What this vision is telling me is that I have gifts, but they have not been released. Maybe now, as I'm bringing this forward, the birdcage door will be open to my gifts. 10 o'clock. I saw a pattern of 3 lights, with the farthest away dim, the middle one brighter, and the closest was the brightest lamp. The lamp was like that of a square, having glass sides. This lamp was brighter than the other 2, but you could tell it could be much brighter. I interpret this vision as my faith at this time. It was improving. Reviewing these visions, I was shown my purpose, my position, having shadows, being, my gifts, and my faith. My question was then focused on, do I possess gifts? I'm not sure at this point in time, as I know the power of communication is open between the Trinity and me, but I'm not sure of my full purpose. I know patience is a must, but at the same time, not many people are aware of what I've been given, so there is no audience. How can I be of service in this world that people would believe me so I can reach many? I don't feel I'm doing enough for being as blessed as I feel, and the tears started to flow from my eyes. And again, no one can know how much love and faith that I hold in my heart, soul, and mind, except for those of the spiritual realm. Today, as I write on December 23rd, 2017, that I will soon be celebrating Christmas Eve, which is personally my most spiritual day of my year. This is the most sacred heart day for me. My spirit beams with delight as I make myself present in the church. I also realize that tomorrow the children will have the same feeling of joy as they look to see what Santa Claus has brought them during the night. Just one of the days of the years that they have been taught to be spiritual by believing in something you can't see relating to Santa Claus. Just think, most of you have taught your children to be spiritual, to believe something that does not exist, and it is the day we celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ. Then there is the Easter Bunny, who brings eggs, which became a symbol of life and also fertility and eternity. Easter is the most important Christian festival of the year, celebrating the resurrection of Jesus Christ. He died on the cross on Good Friday and was resurrected and came back to life on Easter Sunday. Somewhere in 2018, I had an unusual experience with my son's cat, George, who was left behind when my son headed east. I was sitting on the couch and the cat was lying on the floor in full view. I see that something has his attention, as if he is looking at something with curiosity, but there is nothing that I see. I said out loud, "What do you see, George? Is someone here?" He ignores me and gets up, letting out a quiet cat noise, and moves to another location with the same intent. Then he again gets up, goes over to a small table I have between 2 chairs. He is looking at something, but I have no idea what. While he is still focusing on this, he comes towards me on the couch, but doesn't take notice of me. He is totally focused on something which I don't see. I lean over to see if I could see anything, and I see a vision of a dark ribbon. I now sense that someone is in the room, but I don't know who, as I see no one. This vision was very unique because this seems to be the first vision that I have seen in the day while I'm fully awake. I know from this that it can happen, but I also know that this is not the way it is for me. At another time, I also have heard a male voice call my name, saying, "Heather." When I was very sick with the flu not too long ago, I was so sick I said to myself, leave me here on the bathroom floor, as I had no strength left in me. It was as if I had two different flus back to back. I will never forget this experience either. It was not a voice that I recognized, but it was a very gentle and calming voice. My response under my breath was, I hear you. I know that I'm being shown through I know I am being shown through visuals, but I also know the path is clear for audio, but this is not the way I'm to learn. Near the end of 2018, I was seeing visions of what I'm considering religious figures that I sense are living today. Seeing visions of people, but these people are not dead, they are living. They are seeing me, and I am seeing them. I understand them to be religious people or people of faith. I'm expecting Christian faith. Why else would Jesus be showing me this? How do I know they are religious? One wears the robe of the monk, which I wrote about in the book Truth from the Spirit. One had a turban on his head. One had a skull cap on his head. And there have been others, both women and men, that we have seen each other. Most recently, seeing two women bent over working in a crop field. This one woman was wearing a scarf over her head, which was crossed on one side to go over her shoulder. When I saw her, she was laughing, but then, as if she knows someone is looking at her, she lifts up her head up and looks directly at me, becoming very serious within the occasion. I know she sees me. I can say with certainty that I recognize one of these people, but I will not tell who that female or male person is, and that is to protect the identity. Why am I seeing these people, and why are they seeing me? I have a strong sense of commitment to do whatever I need to do to bring what I'm telling you forward, especially to the church, then the congregation, my community, and wherever it goes from there. I will leave it in God's hands. I believe we have a connection or a common thread that connects us. But what is that connection about? I don't know. My role is to do what I need to do to bring this story and message forward. I captured some details of what I was seeing during this time. Not all visions are what I consider to be living today. November 17th, 2018. I woke to see the vision of an elderly man who was dressed in a long to the floor tinted golden white satin looking gown, which appeared heavy looking and had beading on the front. I can't be positive, but I think that person also had on a small cap of sort. This was the second appearance, which appeared shortly after his first appearance. I know even though they are two different visions, they are tied as one. The first was a face-to-face encounter with the second one. He does not see me, but I'm being shown him from a distance, so I can tell all of him from head to toe. Not tell, see. So I can see all of him from head to foot. The first appearance, he was up close in view and stared at me as I woke and focused on him. I took notice that he would have seen me sleeping. Then I woke up and see him already looking at me. This vision reminded me back to the time when I first recognized the male who wore the monk suit, who also sees me sleeping, and then me waking up. This I will recap. As I wake, this male was staring at me with intent. This vision shows an older male from around the chest up. Mainly just his face is in view. I do not recognize this man, but also note that I do know when they are looking at me. They are seeing me, probably the same way in which I'm viewing them, mainly my face. They could very well be processing exactly what I'm processing, only from their point of view. They are seeing a woman asleep who is startled and wakes to look at them directly in the eyes. As I do not know of them, they do not know of me. We have never met before, but here we are both seeing visions of one another at the same time. What are they seeing? A woman with blonde hair that is long. Her hair is slightly parted on the right and has bangs, which is a detail that might not be noticed as the meeting is brief, and as you view, you are seeing the whole picture, not the details, unless trained to observe more. She, meaning I, have white skin, appears asleep, and wakes to view direct eye contact. She may be startled and may have to move slightly, but always knows that someone is looking at her. It may be possible that they might not see her, but does not she does not wake. Ah, it might be possible that they might see her, but she does not wake. It might be possible that she is awake and does not see them looking at her. I don't know the extent of others' visions, and I can only comment on these visions I see. But it is possible that they might be viewing me at different times of day, and I'm not aware of it because my visions are almost all night visions. I think these people are having day visions because I'm seeing them as if they are working. Maybe it is a time difference in time zones. A few nights before the November 17th vision was a male in a full black long garment. He was a spirit positioned high in the room. It reminded me of the same spirit during the beginning of all my happenings, the one who appeared at the end of my bed, and his sword on the left side was gleaming. I did not fear because of the black, then or now. I know it is a message, but the message I don't know. The message will come, perhaps from another in the flesh. That same night was another woman's spirit at the side of my bed. It was so brief that it was dissipating as I woke, which I only noticed white clothes and a woman. A night vision of a male who appeared twice, one right before the other, once facing me, the second uh, a further away profile. Before this night, I woke to the night vision of a man. His face was very detailed. He was of Eastern descent. I could tell by his dark skin, his dark hair on his I could tell by his dark hair on his face, which was spotty, not thick. This allowed me to notice his chin, which was like a raised thickness of skin, not wide but defined. His eyes were dark. He was wearing a turban, giving his facial features highlight. The turban was a dark medium rose color. He was very close to my face as we stared at each other eye to eye. I can't help but notice I'm being shown so many different people of different places and ethnics. I must appear to them as someone who sleeps and then wakes. Do I appear to them as a living person? I sense they are also of this world in my time and are giving visions like me. I must also I must also puzzle them as to who I am, as I also wonder the same, meaning who they are. Given twice means to validate. This I have learned from my Bible readings. With so many coming forward recently, I can only suggest that whatever is to happen may be soon approaching, or at the least I'm being shown for a reason. Wrote in the bed, wrote in bed the morning of November the 18th, church this morning. And that was to complete it. I would say that that I would say there are six that I consider to be living today and are religious figures who I sense are important to my story. Why else would the spirits show them to me? And that ends this chapter. Thank you, everyone. See you soon.